For 10 years, I suffered from chronic illnesses, anxiety, and isolation. But by the grace of God, I am now alive, healthy, and thriving. My name is Kiki, and this is my story. My story begins with a perfect life. I was healthy, active, and I loved to socialize. I grew up in a healthy, happy family, and I thrived in school. But my perfect life came crashing down all in one day when I was 15 years old. I started feeling so lightheaded and nauseated that it was difficult to get up from the couch without feeling like I was going to faint. I was diagnosed with Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia syndrome, or POTS for short. This meant whenever I was standing, my heart rate soared while my blood pressure dropped. The doctors gave me medication after medication, but they all made me feel worse. The cardiologist told me that I might grow out of it in 3 to 5 years. This was terribly unhelpful news for someone who was so active and healthy. I had to learn to live with my new reality of living with a chronic illness disability. Unable to get out of the house, I became socially isolated and soon developed social anxiety. I finished school through my homebound tutor and began taking online college community classes. But by then, I had developed new symptoms: chronic fatigue, generalized anxiety, insomnia, cold hands and feet, brain fog, sensitivities. 5 years had gone and passed, and I was not any better. The worst part of it was not having any friends. I felt like a zombie. I felt like I was a burden to everyone. Why did God allow me to have this chronic illness? I felt bad when I compared myself to others who were living a happy, healthy life. I turned to faith to help me cope with the chronic illness. I learned that God's goodness is not dependent on my personal circumstances. God's goodness is not determined by my emotions. God is still good even when I don't feel good. God is still good even when I have a chronic illness. I can learn to be content and endure all things through Christ who gives me strength. I learned that my self-pity, bitterness, and jealousy did nothing but make me feel worse than I did. I was grateful that I could see the beautiful colors. I thanked God for all the blessings I did have instead of complaining about all the things I didn't have. I was fully prepared to live the rest of my life with a chronic illness disability. I continue to grow closer to God. God gave me wisdom, insight, and love. He destroyed the lies that the chronic illness told me. I am not alone. I am worthy of love. Having a chronic illness disability taught me that your worth is found in your humanness and not in your achievements. You are worthy of love because you are a human. Because I had a chronic illness disability and I learned to lean on God, I got to know His love. Knowing His love is something so deep and profound, and it's something that I might have never known if I had never had a chronic illness. And then God called me by a new name, healed. I had no reason to think I would be healed of an incurable illness, but for some reason I felt this exciting, unexplainable, and almost scary feeling of hope rise in my soul. I was going to be healed. I had no idea how or when I would be healed, but I held on to this promise with all my might. Not too long after, I found myself at a POTS treatment center. This POTS treatment center did biofeedback therapy. It taught me how to do deep breathing, and it helped my heart circulate my warm blood to my cold hands and feet. This biofeedback helped me to breathe deeply to try to control my heart rate variability and helped calm down my autonomic nervous system. I was so excited that this symptom had finally gone away. Although the biofeedback therapy didn't totally cure me, it did give me hope that I could find effective treatments for my other symptoms. Then, after 6 years of illness, I finally found the reason why I had POTS. I was part of a Facebook group for POTS patients, and many were being diagnosed with Lyme disease. I asked my primary care doctor for a Lyme test, the Western blot, and she was shocked when it came back positive. I was also diagnosed with the Lyme co-infection Babesia. But then I hit more setbacks. The 7 months of antibiotics did nothing, and many doctors and clinics will actually turn you away at the door if you mention Lyme. Even though I had literal proof, a test that my blood showed positive for Lyme disease. Most of these treatments were totally paid out of pocket. My family ended up having to pay around $10,000 a year out of pocket for treatments that might or might not help me. I had no choice but to look for alternative treatments that insurance did not cover, which is pretty typical for chronic Lyme disease patients. The few treatments that did help somewhat were the Biofeedback, a jugular venoplasty, NUCCA Chiropractic, TMJ Orthodontic Treatment, the paleo diet, and various supplements. During this time, as I was getting a little better, I was pushing myself to get out of the house more. I was taking one class at the community college and trying to go to my weekly college group at the church. Overcoming social anxiety was one of the hardest things I've ever done. The only way to ever get to where you want to go is to keep moving forward. So that's what I did. Week after week, I pushed myself to go to the college group and try to socialize. It took years and years, and sometimes I couldn't even make it through the whole time because I felt too sick or I felt too anxious. But after years of pushing myself, I finally overcame the social anxiety and I finally made friends. My social life was finally restored after years of social isolation. During this time, God led me to a naturopathic doctor. She did IV therapy for patients with POTS and Lyme disease. The IV therapy included saline, vitamin B complex, vitamin C, magnesium, calcium, and glutathione. These IVs helped my own immune system to fight off the Lyme, and it also helped with my low blood volume from the POTS. This IV therapy was one of the treatments that helped me the most. After a few months of doing this treatment, I was almost better, but not quite. But things were looking up. I had attended a random church service at the last minute, and there was a guest speaker, Bianca Olthoff. In the middle of her speech, she suddenly stopped and asked if anyone in the audience had Lyme disease. I stood up. I was the only one standing up in the room of what felt like thousands. Bianca told me that the Holy Spirit was giving her a word from God, that I was going to be healed completely. And then I hit another setback. I was experiencing stomach pain and nausea so bad that I could barely eat. I could barely eat a bowl of rice and beans every day. I lost so much weight that I was scared that I was going to die. Test after test came back negative. The pain convinced me that it was gallstones, but the gastroenterologist insisted that it was just anorexia and I just needed to go to the eating disorder clinic. But the clinic evaluated me and assured me that it wasn't an eating disorder and that I needed immediate medical attention. They sent me back to the gastroenterologist, they sent me back to the eating disorder place, and they just kept passing me back and forth, not really knowing what to do with me. I was weak, malnourished, and close to starvation. The doctors finally decided to send me to a hospital. I canceled the lease on my apartment, packed up all my things. I was scared to leave my family, but relieved to finally be able to receive proper treatment. But then I received a phone call. My insurance pulled out, and I was going to have to pay $1,000 a day to stay at this hospital. I was devastated. I couldn't afford that. I was on Social Security disability, and even then, it wasn't enough to pay for my current treatments. Where was God? Where was His promise of healing? I went to bed that night and prayed that I would wake up in the morning. And by the grace of God, I woke up. With nothing left, I thought, I have nothing to lose now. So I had a medical marijuana card. I had tried THC before to see if it would help with my insomnia, but I didn't like the loopy high feeling I got. But now I figured I would just push through that to see if it would help me with my eating. So I got high and I ate food all day, and it worked. I gained all my weight back within a few months. I was not able to eat food without the marijuana. I also noticed all my lingering symptoms were fading away. I was no longer fatigued, no longer anxious, no longer insomniatic. I was fully healthy again. My POTS was gone. Medical marijuana saved my life and cured me of a 10-year chronic illness disability. I thank God every single day for creating a natural medicine to heal me. The $10,000 a year I was spending in treatments was reduced to less than $500 a year for the medical marijuana. I used this marijuana as a treatment for the next couple years, but today I no longer need marijuana to eat food. Once I was healed, I fell to my knees. I couldn't believe I actually survived that. Today I am able to drive, exercise, work, and do everything and more that I was able to do before I got sick. I was given a new life. God taught me that we are blessed so we can go out and bless others. I am healed so I can go out and help heal others. I believe that what healed me was a combination of all my effective treatments and God's healing work in my soul. I felt compelled to dedicate my new life to help others with chronic illnesses. I started an Instagram account at Chronically Healed to share my wisdom and insights through living with and being healed of a chronic illness. There are still people out there suffering from chronic illnesses. I know the hurt, the devastation, and the setbacks. It is my mission in life to raise awareness, advocacy, and hope for people with chronic illnesses. I encourage you to share this video and my YouTube channel with anyone who has a chronic illness. So please subscribe to my YouTube, follow my Instagram at Chronically Healed, and check out my website, chronicallyhealed.com, to keep up with my story as I share more about my life moving forward. If my story resonated with you in any way, please share in the comments. I love to connect with others who are going through the same things that I did. Thank you for watching my story.